Hello and welcome. I'm Udayan Mukherjee, Principal, Adi Vidyapeeth, Motihari, and I welcome all the students and welcome to this new session. I'm Udayan Mukherjee. Okay, so today we are going to begin a new chapter from the book First to this new session. But before that, okay, so today we are going to begin a new chapter from the book First to this new session. But before that, okay, so today is going to begin that I couldn't conduct the classes. So I'm back with this book, First Flight, and with a new chapter. That's chapter 4, and the name of the chapter is From the Diary of Anne Frank. Okay, now this is part 1 of the chapter. So remember, today we'll do part 1. We might complete the chapter in part 2, or it might extend to part 3. Alright, that we'll see. We'll do it slow and steady. Alright? Okay. Now, coming back to this chapter from the Diary of Anne Frank. The first question is, who is Anne Frank? Who is she? As you might have guessed, it is a girl. Well, this is the girl, Anne Frank. Now, who is she? All right, I'll tell you. Now, before I go over to Anne Frank, you know, as students of history, you know that the Nazis, Adolf Hitler's Nazis, you know, they took over Germany, and the Second World War, which extended from 1939 to 1945, that was actually a fight against the Nazis, a fight against Adolf Hitler, right? It was basically, the Second World War was fought to evict Hitler. Okay? Now, when Hitler's took over, you know, Hitler's, the Nazis took over Germany, they had only one plan, or rather, it would be more appropriate to say that Hitler had only one plan in mind, which was to finish off the race of Jews. Now, there were millions of Jews in Germany, right? And also the parts which were taken over, the parts of Europe which were taken over by Germany, or you might say the German occupied Europe and of course Germany. So all the Jews who were in either Germany or the German occupied Europe, they had a huge population of Jews among them. A huge population of Jews. Now, Hitler did not like the Jews because he considered the Jews to be of a lower breed. They considered Jews to be of a lower breed. Hitler believed that there were Germans who belonged to a higher breed and who he called the Aryans. The Aryans were of a higher breed, and therefore Germany should be theirs and not the Jews. The country should have only Aryans and not the Jews. So that is what he believed.
Who was the
And therefore, he thought of a plan which would systematically
second president of India?
eliminate all
Wanted to
Jews.
celebrate his birthday.
And, it is unbelievable that between 1941 and 1945,
It is a great opportunity
over
for
6 million Jews were butchered. I repeat, butchered. You know what is butchered? B-U-T-C-H-E-R. Butcher. There's a difference between killing and butchering. Killing is, well, you kill a person. When you butcher a person, you make sure that the person is tortured. He feels every moment of the pain that he has to withstand before dying. Okay? That is butchering. Right? In fact, in a way, you might say cut into pieces and kill. Torture to the maximum and then kill. So, what Hitler had done, as you all know, he had built all these concentration camps. And these concentration camps were camps where the Jews used to be brought in and they used to be put up in the camps. And that is how these were the places, the camps were the places where he used to butcher the Jews and kill them. All right? So between 1941 and 45, according to records, over 6 million Jews were butchered. Now this, Hitler said, was his final solution to do away with all Jews and let the Aryans among the Germans rule. Okay? This is what the world, to him, to Hitler, it was the final solution. To kill them, to bring them to concentration camps, torture them, kill them. Right? That was his final solution. What he called the final solution, the world knows as the Holocaust. So his final solution is what we know as the Holocaust. Holocaust is a massive destruction, massive killing and destruction. That's the meaning of the word Holocaust. Right? So what we know as the Holocaust is what Hitler thought to be the final solution. Right? So that is the background. Now, considering this background, we come to who Anne Frank was. Anne Frank, you might think, is an adult. No. She's not an adult. She is, or rather was, of your age. You must be what? 14, 15, 16? Right? And Anne Frank was a 15-year-old girl who wrote a diary which became internationally famous. So remember, Anne Frank was a girl. She was a teenager like you. Unfortunately, she did not live to see her 16th birthday. She never lived because she was a Jew. She was a Jew living in Germany. She was a German Jew. And she was taken when the Nazis took over Germany. She was taken to the concentration camp, and there she died at the age of 15 before stepping into her 16th year. However, before dying, for 2 years, between 1942 and 1944, she went into hiding. All right? She went into hiding with her family. And that is when she wrote a diary. Now, all of you, I'm sure you are acquainted with a diary, right? Diary is a book in which there are pages and you mark each page for a particular day, right? And you note your thoughts. You jot down your thoughts for that particular day. So it's a day-to-day account. In other words, it's a day-to-day account, a book where you keep a day-to-day account of your thoughts, your feelings, and the happenings on those particular days. Right? So for 2 years, Anne Frank, when she went into hiding, she wrote a diary. Now, when she was finally captured from her hiding, her family was captured, and her father, her mother, she had an elder sister, all right, named Margaret, and she, all 4 of them were brought to a concentration camp. Her mother and her sister died first, followed by her. She also died. Now, it was her father who later, after her death, read the diary and found the diary to be immensely interesting. Very interesting. All right? Very interesting and very mature. That's the very important point. That's very important. You see, I mean, what is a maybe 13, 14-year-old expected to write? Is she expected to be mature? No. But her writing was very mature. Right? And it was written with a lot of humor, and it was almost cinematic in effect. The way she had written about herself, her aspirations, and the day-to-day events, and what she felt, you know, it was almost like a screenplay. A screenplay. A screenplay is the story, a story which is written for films. That is called a screenplay. So it had that effect. And no wonder, let me tell you, I mean, this particular diary of this girl called Anne Frank was translated into over 70 languages, including English, of course. It was translated into over 70 languages, and it is one diary that was filmed many times. There have been theatrical productions, all right, and there have been television serials, and people have really loved her writing. So it remains, this diary of this young girl remains one of the most popular and one of the most read diaries in the world. All right? And no wonder this diary was called the Diary of a Young Girl. Now, you might ask, was it written in English? No, it wasn't written in English. It was written in Dutch. All right? Dutch. D-U-T-C-H. Dutch. Dutch is a Germanic language. Please remember, it's a language in Germany, right? So it's a Germanic language. So it was originally, the diary was written in Dutch, which was later, of course, translated into English, as it was translated into various other languages. All right? So, this particular story, or rather account, you have in your book, in this book, is actually an extract. Okay? It's a portion one small portion that has been taken from the book, or rather the diary of Anne Frank, which is called the Diary of a Young Girl. So since it has been taken from the diary of a young girl, this chapter has been titled From the Diary of Anne Frank. You got that? I hope it's clear. All right? So, let us see this little introduction. Set against the backdrop of the Holocaust, I told you what Holocaust is. All right, a massive destruction. When the Nazis massacred is killed and butchered. Massacred. All right, massacre is to kill without any discrimination. No discrimination, just kill, kill and kill. That is massacring. So massacred 6 million European Jews between 1941 and 1945. This is a self-written account of a girl who matures from a child into a person as she writes about herself and her aspirations, even while spending her time in hiding. That's what I told you. She spent 2 years in hiding. All right? She used to live in Frankfurt. Frankfurt is in Germany. Now, when the Nazis assumed power, they grew in power. When Adolf Hitler came in, all right, they shifted from Frankfurt in Germany, that is Anne Frank with her parents, shifted from Germany, Frankfurt in Germany, to the Netherlands. Netherlands is a country in Europe. Okay? So it is very near to Germany. It's almost on the border, right? So they shifted to Amsterdam. Amsterdam in Netherlands. All right? So Amsterdam is the capital city of the Netherlands. So they shifted there. Unfortunately, Hitler's Nazis, the Nazis also took over Amsterdam after some time, because they captured some portions, the borders of Europe. So while they captured some portions of Europe, Amsterdam was one of the places that they also captured. So Anne Frank went into hiding, okay, with her parents. So for 2 years, between 1942 to 1944, she remained in hiding with her parents. And this diary is a result or consequence of those 2 years in hiding. Is that clear? She wrote this diary when she was in hiding. She was hiding from the Nazis. All right? And she wrote this diary. In 1944, around October or November, somebody betrayed Anne Frank's family. किसी ने विश्वासघात किया और Nazis को बता दिया, and the Nazis captured them and sent them to a concentration camp. That is where her mother, Anne Frank's mother, passed away, followed by her elder sister, and then finally Anne Frank also passed away. She also died. The only survivor in her family was her father, okay, who was called Otto Frank. O-T-T-O, Otto Frank, and he read the diary, he found the diary, and he read it, found it immensely interesting, immensely captivating, and then decided to publish the diary, which became a world-class book called The Diary of a Young Girl. All right? So, fierceness, a very, very important quality of this book. You'll have to remember that. The book was written originally, please remember, in Dutch, which was a Germanic language, translated into English. However, the best quality of this book was the fierceness. Right? Fierceness, the word fierceness means power. Okay? Power. The brutal power. Fierceness of honesty. That is, it is brutally honest. This particular diary of Anne Frank is brutally honest, is absolutely honest. She doesn't hide anything. Whatever comes to her mind, she has penned her thoughts. All right? So, brutally honest, but it is more interesting, or it has become more interesting, because her honesty is dipped in humor. Dipped. Yani dubana. Alright? If you have, say, chips or whatever, you dip it in sauce and then eat it. Right? So that is dipping. So it is dipped in humor. Humor is something that makes you smile. Okay? It may not always be funny. Please remember, the difference between funny, F-U-N-N-Y, funny, and humor is, funny can be, anything can be funny, alright? You push somebody and somebody falls, that can be funny. But humor is something more gentle, something more subtle. बहुत महीन होता है वो, ठीक है? Or humor could be something that just makes you smile, just kind of gives you a good feeling. It just brings a smile on your lips. And that is humor. So humor may not actually be funny. Okay? And funny, what is funny, may not actually always have humor. Right? So humor is something very, very subtle. Right? It just brings a smile. It just kind of gives you a good feeling. And it makes you say, wow, what a wonderful way of explaining. What a wonderful way of saying things. That is humor. So it is. There is a very fine line of distinction between what is funny and what is humorous. Okay? So it is humor. You don't find it funny, but it is very lovingly funny. Let's put it that way. Very lovingly funny. Okay? You feel it right here. That kind of fun is there in this particular diary. Okay? So, it is dipped in humor, and that stands out as the strength of her writing. So, what is her strength of writing? It is her honesty, the fierce honesty, the brutal honesty, and it is a little humorous. It really gives you a good feeling. And you really think that it has been written in a very interesting manner. All right? So, that, my dear students, is the background to the chapter from the diary of Anne Frank. I hope you have understood the background, because understanding the background is very important. If you want to really appreciate the diary, if you want to really get into the mind of Anne Frank as to why a 15 or 14 or 13-year-old is actually writing a particular thing in a particular way, then you have to understand the background. That is the reason I have explained the background in such detail. All right? So, that's it. We will do only this part of the story of the diary today. Just the backgrounder. All right? So, if you have the book, go over to the first page. All right? This is the first page. Right? And just read from here to here. This will give you a background of the account that Anne Frank has written for us. Okay? So just do that, and then the next day, possibly tomorrow or whenever it is, we will go into the details of the extract from this diary. All right? You got that? I hope you found that interesting. So until we meet again, it's goodbye from me. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye-bye.
Hello everyone.
So to pen something is to write something. Okay? So